Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about a number you probably use, well, every single day. We're always told to trust the data, right? But what if the one number we lean on most, the average, is actually a trap? Okay, let's just dive right in with this powerful, if kind of grim, analogy. This one sentence from Stanford's Sam Savage just perfectly captures a massive flaw in how we think. See, the drunk's average position is the central line, which is safe. But the full range of possibilities, staggering into either lane of traffic, is fatal. The average completely hides the risk. Now, this isn't just some quirky brain teaser. It's a real concept called the flaw of averages, and it has huge real-world consequences. The idea is pretty simple, actually. When the potential outcomes aren't all clustered together, when things can get really good or really, really bad, what we call nonlinear, well, the average becomes a terrible guide for what to expect. So, if it's so flawed, why do we keep falling for it? It's because our brains are basically hardwired to love simple, single answers. It's this cognitive shortcut that feels safe and certain, even when it's anything but. Think about it. We're trained from school to think deterministically. Solve for X, find the one right answer on the test. But the real world, whether it's your daily commute or a billion-dollar investment, it's not a simple math problem. It's probabilistic. There isn't just one future. There's a whole range of possible futures. And we need a way of thinking that actually embraces that uncertainty. And you can see why we do it, right? This desire for certainty is so seductive. It lets us take all the messy, complicated reality and just compress it into one neat little number. It gives us the illusion of control. But as we're about to see, that comfort is a total trap. All right, let's move to a concrete example and see just how this plays out. Relying on that single number isn't just a little bit off. It can be incredibly dangerous and really, really costly. So imagine you're a film studio and you're planning your estimated tax payment. You've got a low forecast, a high one, and a most likely scenario. The average of those comes out to 766,000 tickets. Simple enough. But, and this is a huge but, if the movie becomes a breakout hit and sells over 900,000 tickets, the studio gives it a wider release. That causes a massive, non-linear jump in revenue and taxes. A plan based on the average is completely blind to this. It misses both the risk and the opportunity. And the consequences are not just on paper. This kind of blindness leads to very real financial penalties in what's known as the double whammy. And it gets even worse. Just like our staggering drunk, you get penalized for being on either side of the actual right number. If the studio underpays its taxes, boom, it owes the government interest. If it overpays, well, it loses the chance to use that cash for other investments. That's a real cost. The so-called safe average position is actually the one place that's guaranteed to be wrong, and it comes with a penalty. Okay, so if averages are the problem, what's the solution? Well, it starts by fundamentally changing the question we're asking. We need to shift from what's the most likely outcome to what's the full range of outcomes and what is each one of those actually worth. And this is the crucial point. This quote from Morgan Stanley just nails it. Look, winning isn't about being right most of the time. It's about the magnitude of your wins versus the magnitude of your losses. It's all about focusing on the payoff, not just the probability of being right. And this is where a cool concept called expected value comes in. Instead of just looking at the most likely outcome, that average case with the 40% probability, we look at every possible outcome. You'll notice the average case has a pretty low payoff. But that breakthrough scenario, yeah, it's only a 10% chance, but the payoff is massive. When you multiply each payoff by its probability and add them all up, you get the true expected value. And that number is way more useful than a simple average. You can think of it as the Babe Ruth effect. The guy was famous for striking out all the time. Those are failures, right? But when he hit the ball, he hit home runs. His wins were so massive, they more than made up for all those frequent, small losses. It's the same way venture capital works. Most of their bets fail, but one huge success pays for everything else and then some. So, this new way of thinking doesn't just change our math, it completely changes how we see the future. We're moving from a single, kind of boring black and white number to this full color picture of what could really happen. This is point thinking. A single number, like an 8% expected return, it looks so precise, right? So confident, but it's hiding almost everything that actually matters. But distributional thinking, this gives you the full picture. It shows you the shape of the future. Are all the outcomes clustered tightly around the average in what you might call a mild state?
Or can they swing way out into wild territory with huge gains and huge losses? This is the information you actually need to make a smart decision.
And that brilliantly illustrates the real goal here. The aim isn't to be a psychic who can pinpoint the single best outcome. The goal is to be resilient. It's to build a strategy that works well enough across the entire range of possible futures, especially the ugly parts that most people just ignore.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do this? How do we model all this uncertainty and see that full distribution in the real world?
Well, we can use an incredibly powerful tool called a Monte Carlo simulation. Think of it like a weather forecast for your business plan. Instead of plugging in one average number for, say, material costs, you give the model a whole range of possibilities. Then it runs the simulation thousands and thousands of times, basically playing out every possible future. What you get isn't one answer, but a map of what's most likely to happen and what the extreme risks and opportunities really are.
So why go through all this trouble? Well, because moving beyond that single guess gives you a massive advantage. We're talking about smarter risk management, project schedules that are actually realistic, and business plans that are built for the real world. The one that's uncertain, unpredictable, and always full of surprises.
So here's the big takeaway. The next time you hear an average, don't just nod and accept it. Challenge it. Ask the one question that can reveal all the hidden risks and opportunities. What does the distribution look like? Because in a world of uncertainty, the simple answer is almost always the wrong one. The truth isn't in a single point. It's in the full, colorful, and often surprising picture.